Picture this, you're standing at the altar in your dream wedding dress, about to marry the love of your life. But when you look to your side of the church, complete silence, empty chairs. Not one family member, not one friend. Just rows and rows of nothing while your groom's family stares at you with pity. That was me. Julia Bennett, 28 years old, living my worst nightmare in white silk and lace. But what I didn't know was that someone in that church was about to stand up and change everything. Someone who had been watching. Someone who knew secrets that would make my heart stop beating. What happened next turned my wedding day into the most talked about scandal in London. And the person who saved me, you'll never guess who it was. Let me tell you how it happened. Standing there in my wedding dress, I felt like the loneliest person on earth. Ryan's family filled their entire section, aunts, uncles, cousins, friends, all laughing and chatting excitedly. My side, it looked like a graveyard. Empty chair after empty chair, each one a slap in the face. Where is everyone, Julia? Ryan's aunt whispered loud enough for half the church to hear. Didn't you invite anyone? I forced a smile, but inside my heart was breaking into 1,000 pieces. Of course I had invited everyone. My parents, my siblings, my cousins, my friends. I had even reserved special seats with ribbons for my family in the front row. But those seats sat empty, mocking me. Ryan squeezed my hand as we stood at the altar. Don't worry, love. They probably got stuck in traffic. You know how London traffic can be, but I knew better. 3 hours late? No phone calls? No texts? Something was very wrong. The worst part, Ryan's family kept staring at me with pity in their eyes. His mother kept shaking her head and whispering to his father. I could read their lips. Poor girl. No family support. What kind of people abandon their daughter on her wedding day? I wanted to disappear, to run away in my wedding dress and never look back. But then I remembered what Ryan had told me just 2 weeks ago when I was crying about my family acting. Strange. Julia, listen to me carefully, he had said, holding my face in his hands. Your family doesn't want us to get married. They've been trying to break us up for months. They think I'm not good enough for you. That's not true, Ryan. They would and they are. They've been calling me, sending me messages, trying to convince me to leave you. They said terrible things about you, Julia. Things I would never repeat. I had been shocked. My own family? Trying to sabotage my happiness. But why wouldn't they just talk to me directly? I had asked. Because they know you love me too much to listen. They know you'd choose me over them. So they're trying to make you choose by not showing up today. Standing at the altar now, with everyone staring at my empty family section, Ryan's words felt true. How could my own family be so cruel? The pastor began the ceremony. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today. I tried to focus on Ryan's handsome face, his kind brown eyes, his gentle smile. At least I had him. At least someone loved me. But then everything changed. Bang. The church doors flew open with such force that they hit the walls. Everyone turned to look. A man in an expensive black suit walked down the aisle. He was tall, confident, and completely unfamiliar to me. Excuse me, he called out loudly. I have something very important for the bride. My heart stopped. Who was this man? What could he possibly want? Ryan's grip on my hand tightened. Who are you?
This
is a private ceremony. The stranger ignored Ryan completely. He walked straight up to me and handed me a thick envelope. Miss Bennett, I think you need to see this before you say, I do. With shaking hands, I opened the envelope. What I saw inside made my blood freeze. Photos, dozens of them. Of Ryan, with my sister Emma kissing, holding hands. In his apartment. In his car, at restaurants I had never been to. The photos were recent, very recent. Some were dated just last week. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. The church started spinning around me. Julia? Ryan's voice sounded far away. What's in the envelope? What's wrong? I looked up at him, then at the photos, then back at him. Ryan ... What is this?
He grabbed the photos from my hands, his face turning white as snow. Julia, I can explain.
This isn't what it looks like. But before he could say another word, the church doors opened again. This time it was my family. My parents, my brother James, my sister Emma, my cousins, my aunts and uncles, everyone I had been crying about. Everyone I thought had abandoned me. "Sorry we're late, sweetheart," my mother called out, hurrying down the aisle. "Traffic was absolutely terrible. We've been trying to call you for hours." Emma followed behind them, her face glowing with what I thought was happiness for my big day. She was wearing a beautiful blue dress and a bright smile. She had no idea what just happened. "Julia, darling, you look absolutely stunning," Emma gushed, rushing up to hug me. "I'm so sorry we're late." "I know how important this day is to you." I stared at my sister. The sister I had shared secrets with. The sister I had trusted with everything. The sister who had been sleeping with my fiancé behind my back. Ryan was frantically trying to grab all the photos, but the mysterious man in the black suit had made copies. He was handing them out to the wedding guests. Gasps filled the church. Whispers started immediately. "Oh, my God, is that the bride's sister? With the groom? How awful. Poor Julia, on her wedding day." Emma's face changed when she heard the whispers. She looked around confused, then saw people staring at the photos. Her face turned red, then white, then green. "Julia, I can explain ... but I held up my hand to stop her. Something had awakened inside me. Something strong. Something fierce. I had been humiliated enough for one day. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said loudly, my voice carrying across the entire church. "Before we continue with this ceremony, I have something to say." The church fell completely silent. Even the children stopped making noise. I looked at Ryan, then at Emma, then at all the guests staring at me with pity and shock. "I want to tell you all about love," I began, my voice growing stronger with each word. "True love. The kind of love that makes you trust someone completely. The kind of love that makes you believe in someone even when everyone else tells you not to." Ryan tried to interrupt. "Julia, please let me explain." "No, Ryan, let me finish. I'm talking about the love I felt for you. How I defended you. When people said you were using me. How I chose you over everyone who warned me about you. How I believed every lie you told me about my family trying to break us up." The church was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. "But you know what's funny about the truth?" I continued, holding up the photos. "It always comes out eventually. And the truth is, my family never tried to break us up. They were trying to protect me. They knew what kind of man you really are." Emma stepped forward, tears in her eyes. "Julia, please, it wasn't supposed to happen like this. We never meant to hurt you." "We?" I laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "Oh, Emma, there is no we anymore. There's no us anymore. You made your choice when you decided to sleep with my fiancé. And Ryan, you made your choice when you decided to manipulate me into thinking my family was the enemy." Ryan's face was red with anger now. "Julia, you're being dramatic. It was just a mistake. Emma and I, we just we connected. But I chose you. I'm here marrying you because you had to." I shot back because everyone was watching. Because it would look bad for your career if you left me at the altar. "But you never really chose me, did you, Ryan? You just chose what was convenient." Then something unexpected happened. A man stood up from Ryan's side of the church. He was older, well-dressed, with silver hair and kind eyes. I recognized him from the company photos Ryan sometimes showed me. It was Mr. Derek Vaughan, the CEO of Ryan's company. "Excuse me," Mr. Derek Vaughan said, walking toward the altar. "I'm sorry to interrupt, but I couldn't help overhearing." Ryan's face went pale. "Mr. Derek Vaughan, sir, this is just a misunderstanding. Is it?" Mr. Derek Vaughan looked at me with respect in his eyes. "Young lady, I've been watching how you've handled this situation. With dignity, with strength, with honesty. That takes real character." He turned to face the crowd. "I came to this wedding because Ryan is my employee. But I'm staying because I'm impressed by this woman's courage. Julia, isn't it?" I nodded, not sure where this was going. "Julia, I run a company that values integrity above everything else. People who stand up for the truth, even when it hurts. People who don't let others manipulate them or break their spirit. He looked directly at me. Would you be interested in having dinner with me sometime? To discuss your future? The church erupted in whispers. Was the CEO of Ryan's company asking me out? On my wedding day? In front of everyone? But Mr. Derek. Vaughn wasn't finished. He turned to Ryan with ice-cold eyes. As for you, Mr. Cooper, a man who lies to the woman he claims to love, who manipulates her into doubting her own family, who cheats with her sister. That's not the kind of character we want representing our company. Ryan's mouth fell open. Sir, you can't be serious. I'm completely serious. You're terminated. Effective immediately. Security will escort you from any company property. Your actions today have shown me exactly who you are. The church exploded in shocked gasps and whispers. Ryan looked around. Desperately. This is insane. You can't fire me over my personal life. I can fire you for being a liar and a manipulator. Those aren't the values our company stands for. Emma started crying loudly. This is all my fault. Julia, please forgive. I never meant for this to happen. But my mother stepped forward, her face harder than I'd ever seen it. Emma, you need to leave now. What you've done is unforgivable. You're not welcome in our family anymore. Mom, please. Emma begged. It was a mistake. I love him. You love me? Ryan spun around to face Emma. This is all your fault. You seduced me. You ruined everything. Emma's face showed complete shock. My fault? You said you loved me. You said Julia was boring and that you were going to leave her anyway. I never said that. You did. You said it last week when we were... Stop! I shouted over both of them. Just stop. Both of you. This is pathetic. I looked at both of them with disgust. Ryan, you're a liar and a cheater. Emma, you're a traitor and a homewrecker. You deserve each other. But you don't deserve me. I started walking down the aisle, away from the altar, away from both of them. But Mr. Derek Vaughn stepped in front of me. Julia, wait, I meant what I said about dinner. Not as a rebound or a consolation prize. But because I see something special. In you, something real. I looked into his kind eyes and saw something I hadn't seen in a long time. Genuine respect. Genuine interest. I don't even know your first name, I said softly.
He smiled. It's Derek. Derek Vaughn, I know. My parents weren't very creative with names.
Despite everything, I laughed. A real laugh. Julia, he continued. I've been watching you handle this nightmare with more grace than most people handle good news. You're strong, you're honest, and you don't let people walk over you. Those are rare qualities. Behind us, Ryan and Emma were still fighting loudly. You used me, Emma screamed. You threw yourself at me. Ryan yelled back. Both of you, get out. My father's voice boomed across the church. You've caused enough damage. But I wasn't paying attention to them anymore. I was looking at Derek, this successful, kind man who saw something in me worth respecting. One dinner, I said. But I'm keeping my wedding dress on. I look too good in it to waste it. Derek laughed. Deal, but I'm buying you the most expensive meal in London to make up for this disaster. As we walked down the aisle together, I could hear Ryan shouting behind us. Julia, you can't just leave. We can work this out. Julia. I didn't turn around. I didn't even slow down. Sir, Ryan called to Derek. You can't just steal my fiancée. Derek stopped and turned around one last time. She's not your fiancée anymore. And I'm not stealing her. She's choosing to leave with me because she deserves better than a lying, cheating manipulator. The church was in complete chaos now. Wedding guests were taking photos and videos. The pastor looked completely confused. Emma was sobbing in a pew while my mother lectured her about betrayal. Ryan was frantically trying to call someone on his phone, probably his lawyer. But I felt free. For the first time in months, I felt completely free. As Derek and I reached the church doors, I turned back one last time to look at my family, my real family. The ones who had tried to protect me all along. My mother blew me a kiss. My father gave me a thumbs up. My brother James was grinning and taking photos of Ryan's meltdown. We love you, Julia. my mother called out. We're proud of you, and that's when I realized the truth. My family hadn't abandoned me. They had been there all along, trying to save me from making the biggest mistake of my life. Ryan had manipulated me into thinking they were the enemy when really, he was. 3 months later, I married Derek Vaughn in a small, beautiful ceremony surrounded by people who truly loved me. My family sat in the front row, beaming with pride. Derek's family welcomed me with open arms. Ryan, he never found another job. In London, his reputation was ruined after the wedding disaster went viral on social media. Someone had filmed everything and posted it online with the title, "Groom Gets Exposed at His Own Wedding." Emma tried to contact me dozens of times, begging for forgiveness, but some betrayals can't be forgiven. She and Ryan tried to make their relationship work, but it fell apart within weeks. Apparently, when you start a relationship based on lies and betrayal, it doesn't last long. Who could have guessed? The mysterious man in the black suit? That's where the story gets really interesting. His name was Detective Marcus Webb, and he was a private investigator my family had secretly hired. 3 weeks before my wedding. But here's the twist. It wasn't just my brother James who suspected something. My entire family had been watching Ryan for months. We knew something was wrong when you started pulling away from us, my mother explained later that evening as we sat in her kitchen, still in my wedding dress, eating leftover cake that was supposed to be for my reception. Remember when you suddenly stopped coming to Sunday dinners? My father added, when you made excuses every time we invited Ryan over. When you started repeating things he said about us that didn't sound like you at all. My sister-in-law, Sarah, nodded. You started saying we didn't approve of Ryan, that we thought he wasn't good enough. But Julia, we never said any of those things. That's when we realized he was manipulating you. Detective Webb had been following Ryan for 3 weeks. What he discovered was worse than anyone expected. Your fiancé wasn't just cheating with your sister, Detective Webb told me when we met the next day. He was also stealing money from his company, lying about his salary to impress you, and had another girlfriend in Manchester who thought they were engaged too. I sat there in shock. Another girlfriend? Engaged? Her name is Sophie Mitchell. She's been planning a wedding for next month. Ryan told her his job required him to travel to London frequently, but he was really coming here to be with you and your sister. The photos Webb had given me at the church were just the beginning. He had hours of video footage, recorded phone calls, financial records, and testimony from multiple witnesses. Your family paid me to investigate because they love you, Webb continued. They could see you were being manipulated, but they knew if they confronted you directly, Ryan would convince you they were lying. So they hired me to get proof. But why didn't they just tell me what they suspected? Because your brother James tried that once, remember? 2 months ago when he asked you about Ryan's behavior. You didn't speak to James for 3 weeks because Ryan convinced you that your brother was jealous and trying to break you up. The memories came flooding back. Ryan had been so good at making me doubt everyone who loved me. Every time someone questioned him, he had a perfect explanation that made me feel guilty for doubting him. Your family knew that if they came to you without absolute proof, you'd choose Ryan over them, Webb explained. They couldn't risk losing you completely. So they hired me to document everything, planning to show you the evidence right before the wedding when you'd have no choice. But to see the truth, they timed it perfectly, I realized. Right before I said I do. Webb smiled. Your brother specifically requested that I wait until the last possible moment.
He said, if Julia is going to marry this man despite the evidence, that's her
choice. But she deserves to know the truth before she makes that choice. That's when I understood something that made my heart swell with love and gratitude. My family hadn't abandoned me. They had never stopped fighting for me, even when I pushed them away. They had spent their own money, hired a professional investigator, and risked me hating them forever, all to save me from making the biggest mistake of my life. They were late to the church because they were having second thoughts about the plan, Webb continued. Your mother was crying in the parking lot, worried that humiliating you in front of everyone was the wrong approach. Your father wanted to storm in and punch Ryan instead of using the evidence. James had to convince them all to stick to the plan. So they were always coming? Julia, they never had any intention of missing your wedding. They were outside in the parking lot for 2 hours waiting for my signal. The plan was for me to show you the evidence, give you time to process it, and then they would come in too. Support you no matter what you decided. I started crying all over again, but this time they were tears of joy mixed with regret. Joy because my family loved me more than I ever realized. Regret because I had doubted them for so long. But Detective Webb wasn't finished with his revelations. There's something else you should know about your sister Emma. My stomach dropped. What now? She wasn't the only one Ryan was manipulating. He told her that you were planning to break up with him after the wedding. He said you were only marrying him for his money and that you had been talking about divorce before you even got married. That's insane. I loved him. I know, but Emma believed him. She thought she was saving her sister from a loveless marriage. Ryan convinced her that you would be grateful to her for rescuing you from a mistake. The betrayal felt even worse now. Not only had Ryan cheated with my sister, but he had manipulated her into believing she was helping me. Emma had no idea about the other girlfriend in Manchester. She had no idea about the stolen money or the lies about his salary. She thought she was in love with an honest man who was trapped in an engagement with a woman who didn't really want him. So Emma thought she was the hero of this story. Exactly. Ryan is a master manipulator. He convinced you that your family was the enemy. He convinced your sister that you were the enemy. He probably convinced his other girlfriend that someone else was the enemy too. Webb showed me more evidence. Text messages between Ryan and Emma where he complained about me being cold and distant. Messages where he said he wished he could be with someone who understood him the way Emma did. But then Webb showed me messages between Ryan and the Manchester girlfriend Sophie. In those messages, Ryan complained about Emma being clingy and desperate and said he couldn't wait to get rid of her after he got what he wanted. He never loved any of you, Webb said gently. You were all just useful to him in different ways. That's when I learned something that shocked me even more. Detective Webb had already contacted the police about Ryan's financial crimes.
He had
Also contacted Sophie, the other girlfriend in Manchester, and warned her about what was happening. Sophie dumped him the same day as your wedding, Webb told me. She also pressed charges for fraud. He had convinced her to lend him money for wedding expenses that he spent on Emma and you instead. Ryan wasn't just losing me and his job. He was facing complete social humiliation thanks to the viral wedding video. The best part, Detective Webb said with a smile, is that because everything was recorded and went viral, he can't claim he was framed or that any of this was taken out of context. The whole world saw exactly what kind of man he really is. Emma had tried to contact the family multiple times after the wedding disaster, but my parents had made their position clear. She was no longer welcome until she got professional help. For being so easily manipulated and made genuine amends for her betrayal. We told her she needs therapy to understand how she let a man convince her to betray her own sister, my mother explained. And she needs to take full responsibility for her choices instead of blaming Ryan for manipulating her. She made the choice to believe him over you, James added. She made the choice to sneak around behind your back. She made the choice to betray you. Ryan gave her the opportunity, but she took it. 6 months later, Emma did get therapy and eventually made a genuine apology. It took 2 years, but our relationship slowly healed. She had learned the hard way that family loyalty can't be replaced by romantic excitement. But Ryan? His life completely fell apart. The viral video of our wedding disaster was viewed over 10 million times.
He became known as the wedding cheater.
On social media, he couldn't get a job anywhere in London. Sophie's fraud charges resulted in criminal conviction and jail time. His reputation was so destroyed that he eventually moved to another country just to escape the humiliation. Now, 7 years later, Derek and I have 3 beautiful children and run the most successful marketing firm in London together. We've been featured in business magazines as one of the city's most powerful couples. Our love story, the one that started with my disastrous first wedding, has been featured in newspapers and magazines as an example of how sometimes the worst day of your life leads to the best chapter of your story. Ryan? Last I heard, he was working in construction in Australia, still single, still trying to escape his reputation as the wedding cheater. The viral video of our wedding disaster still gets reshared every few months on social media, ensuring his humiliation never quite fades away. Emma and I have rebuilt our relationship, and she's now married to a wonderful man who treats her with the respect she deserves. She learned from her mistakes and became a stronger, wiser person. She's also one of the best aunts my children could ask for. The best revenge really is success and happiness. But sometimes it's also justice. Looking back, I realized that wedding day was the luckiest day of my life. Not because of what happened, but because of what didn't happen. I didn't marry a criminal. I didn't tie my life to a manipulator. I didn't lose my family to a man who was never worthy of my love. Instead, I learned who I really was. I learned how strong I could be when everything fell apart. I learned that my family's love for me was stronger than any manipulation. I learned that sometimes the people trying to break you up are actually trying to save you from someone who would break your heart and ruin your life. And I learned that real love, the kind I found with Derek, doesn't require you to doubt the people who raised you, supported you, and would do anything to protect you. If Ryan had never betrayed me, I never would have met Derek. If Emma had never been manipulated into her affair, I never would have learned how strong I really am. If my family hadn't hired Detective Webb, I might have spent years trapped in a marriage with a criminal who would have destroyed my life piece by piece. Instead, I got the fairy tale ending I always dreamed of. And that, my friends, is the sweetest revenge of all.